Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at the Hollywood Rack's Destination 4 bike platform rack here on our 2022 Toyota RAV4 Prime. So the Destination 4 is probably one of my favorite entry-level platform racks, with the ability to carry around a lot of bikes without having to spend a lot of money. Now, you don't have the same premium features like you would get from the other premium racks, but I still think it evens out because you have better stability that a platform rack gives you and an improvement from a hanging rack. So we'll talk about those features, but we are going to focus on our RAV4 here today. That way you can see what types of features you like and then get the best fit for you, your different types of bikes, and your vehicle. First thing that we usually look at is if the bike rack can tilt away in order to access our hatch. Now, this rack does not tilt away though. So if you do want to open up your hatch, you are going to have to take your bike off. If that's a deal breaker for you, you may want to consider a 4-bike platform rack like the RockyMounts MonoRail instead, and that might work out for tilting away. Now, what types of bikes can you carry on this rack? We do have a 35-pound weight capacity, which is pretty average for a platform rack. If you have extra heavy electric bikes, maybe not going to be the best fit, but most of your road bikes and mountain bikes will be within that 35-pound weight capacity. You have 3 touch points, so 1 and 2 are going to be your wheel straps, and then the third is an interesting design. You have this 360-degree frame mount. So depending on your frames of different shapes and sizes, this can go up, down, left, right, and even around to carry those frames. Now when you want to take your bike off, you actually start over at the wheel strap. So you just press that lever, and then you lift up on the strap, and I like to just fold it over to the side so it doesn't get caught up in the spokes. So that's one lever. Here's the second lever. Now when you get 4 bikes on there, it may be kind of tricky in order to hold on to those different bikes. So that's just going to be something you're going to have to practice. So once those wheel straps are out, I like to just use my elbow to hold on to the bike. This might be more helpful with a second person, but while I hold it onto it with one hand, I disengage the strap with the other, and then once that's released, I can then lift the bike up and over. So notice how short that mast is. That's helpful because then you don't have to lift your bike up too high in order to get it off of the bike rack. Now I'm just going to leave this over to the side so we can take a closer look at the bike rack itself. Notice the interesting design for the cradles. They're kind of shaped like wings where they go down, and that's because this can accommodate more wheelbases that way. So you can tilt your straps back and forth. The maximum wheelbase you can carry with this bike rack is going to be up to 48 inches. You also have the cushion on the strap in order to cushion your wheels and add that extra grip. Then you also have your frame mount. So notice how this also has the rubber grips on the inside for your frame. Rather than the hooks from other racks that come down and secure the frame, you can use this on the top tube, down tube, seat post, whichever gives you better access and security for your rack. Now before we can open up our hatch, what we actually need to do is lower this mast first. So it's a little bit of a process, but I'll guide you through that. We have this knob here. You're going to want to loosen that knob just enough where you can then lift that stand out of the way, then tighten that knob right back down. Once that's loose, you can then lower the mast completely. And you have different options here. You can use your frame mount straps to secure the mast, or you can use your wheel straps to secure the mast. It's definitely going to be a process, and it will take a little bit of time, but just like that, our mast is now secured in the down position. And now we can open up our hatch. So let's take a look at how much clearance we have between the door and the bike rack. Pretty good clearance there. We can now reach into our trunk, grab whatever we need, whether it's our helmets, our bags, our waters. The downside is though that we did have to take the bikes off in order to get access to that hatch. So that's really where your premium bike racks with their tilt-away features come in handy. Okay, how much length does this add to the back of our vehicle? This is actually going to be one of our more compact 4-bike bike racks, but still adds a little bit of length. Measuring from the bumper there to the end of the rack by the nice white reflectors, it sits at 38 inches. So keep that measurement in mind when you're backing into your garage or trying to park into a really tight spot. Another measurement is going to be ground clearance. So at the end of the wings here, it sits at 17.5 inches off the ground. At the center of the rack, that sits at 22 inches off the ground. But let's take a look over here at the shank. The shank sits only 10 inches off the ground. You don't have that much ground clearance on your RAV4 Prime. So it's a good thing that this has a shank rise, because then your bike sit higher up off the ground when you go up those steep inclines like those driveways or hills. Now, what if you're not planning on going out for a bike ride just yet, but you also don't want to take your bike rack off? What you can do is you can fold this up. There's going to be a clip as well as a bolt here at the end. You take out that clip and you just rotate the knob on the side just enough where that pops out, and you can let that hang there because you have a string as you lift up on the rack. Notice how lightweight this is actually for a 4-bike platform rack. Our other 4-bike platform racks, I can't really lift with one hand to fold it up. So with that in the up position, let's try to line up those holes and tighten that right back down. There's going to be a little bit of a thread on that bolt there, which is very important because you want to minimize the shake of your bike rack in the folded up position. All right, with that tightened down, don't forget to pop that clip right back in order to secure it, and now you have it in the compact or portable position. It looks like it comes close to our vehicle, so let's take some measurements to see exactly how close. Our closest point will be where our frame mounts are. So those little levers sit about 2 inches away from our bumper. You are going to have to be mindful of the straps there to make sure that's clear. But other than that, there's no contact with the vehicle. The length now added to the back is from the bumper to the hinge, 12 inches or 1 foot exactly. Big difference compared to when this is folded down. You'll want to in this position when you're just planning on driving around town and you don't want to take up too much space. But what is it like living with a bike rack behind you all the time? Well, with this folded up, we don't even reach our rear windshield wiper. So you're going to have full visibility through your rear window. This does kind of cover your taillights, although they are visible to the side of the taillight. Your license plate will be kind of covered here, but the good news is your backup camera is offset to the driver's side and sits right in this opening, which is great because as you go into reverse, what's going to happen is you are going to see your bike rack in your view, but you'll still be able to see the view behind you. Now, if that is still going to be a major issue for you, you can go ahead and drive with it in the down position. Just be mindful of the space it takes up. Now, how does this fit into our hitch? We have a 2-inch shank, which fits into the 2-inch hitch receiver on our RAV4. We have an anti-rattle bolt, and we have a lock. So that anti-rattle bolt uses a 3/4 inch socket. We have extras here at eTrailer if you want to add that one too, to keep that with your car. But that's going to be used to tighten down the bike rack to the hitch receiver. So to demonstrate, I'm going to shake this bike rack back and forth to try to simulate that road movement and vibration. Even up and down, there might be a little bit of movement there. So we have a nice and secure fit at the shank. If you see a bit of movement on your bike rack, just double check this bolt here holding the hinge together. All right, my personal thoughts about the Hollywood Rack Destination is you can see why this is one of my favorite entry-level bike racks. You have that good stability of a platform rack at pretty much the price point of a hanging rack. You're able to carry around a lot of bikes without taking up too much space or being too heavy. Of course, the downsides are you cannot tilt this away if you want to open up the hatch with the bikes on. If that's going to be a big issue for you, I did mention the RockyMounts MonoRail as a good option. The Kuat Transfer V2 4-bike rack would be a good option for that too. But otherwise, this checks off most of your boxes for most of your bikes. And you saw this right here as the Hollywood Rack's Destination 4x platform rack on the 2022 Toyota RAV4 Prime.
Now we're going to go ahead and take it on our test course. First we'll start with the slaloms. This is going to show the side-to-side action. It's kind of going to mimic the movements that you'll see whenever you're driving down the road normally. Now we'll have the alternating speed bumps. This is going to be more so like the uneven roads and some of that uneven terrain you might be traveling on, and see how it holds up.